Albrecht comes across Anna on the docks and says, "We meet again, Scarecrow." Albrecht had come to retrace Britt's last steps and reflect on her final act of valor. Why is there so much talk about Faison? Albrecht laments that she could have been a better parent to Britta. She wasted a lot of time fretting on Caesar when she could have been paying attention to her kid. She notices that she and her erstwhile rival share many similarities. She disregarded Britta because of her love for Faison, and Anna neglected Robin for the WSB. Anna regrets her actions, and as she grows older, she realizes she cannot defend what she did as an agent. Albrecht asks what she would tell her younger self if she could. Anna confesses she would advise herself not to take this job since it will cost her more than she could have imagined. Anna asks Albrecht what she would tell her younger self. Albrecht laughs. Not to fall in love with a megalomaniacal Danish terrorist. He walks away, leaving Anna in tears reflecting on her life choices. Who is the big boss? At the Five Poppies, Pascal follows Britt back to her room and chastises her for disrupting a business call. The doctor throws a temper tantrum and declares that he wants Pascal to be happy, but she is not. Plus, the resort's beverages are terrible. Britt asks to speak with their pal as soon as possible. Pascal says he'll forward the message and exits. Britt goes online and discovers a photo of her mother and Rocco at the pool. She gets emotional thinking about how big Rocco has gotten. Britt then receives a call from the big boss, informing them that they have a major issue. Christina is the auntie with Cody at the hospital. Christina comes across a shirtless Cody in an exam room. He explains that he needs to get this mole checked out, which turns out to be just a freckle. Later in the hallway, Cody complains that this cancerous mole was all Molly's fault, and he wonders if Christina's plan is worthwhile. She offers Cody an additional $10,000, prompting him to go all in. Christina informs Cody that Ava is in her mother's workplace, as per Suzanne's information, and instructs him to make an excuse to drop by before inviting Ava out for a martini. She can't resist guzzling a free drink. Before leaving, Cody asks Christina why Molly is upset with him, and she lies, saying her sister has been grumpy since her breakup with TJ. In Brennan's office, he grants Joss a new identity. Kelsey MacDonald is her name and Vaughn goes by Chris Nash. Suddenly, Carly contacts Brennan with an invitation, and he informs Joss that her mother is at work, so she should tell her why she has to leave town. Chase is frustrated with Brooklyn at Metro Court. Chase tells his wife that he wants to restart their stalled adoption procedure, but Brooklyn believes she has to focus on repairing her relationship with Gio first. Brooklyn insists she isn't, and all she wants for their child is two loving parents and perhaps a kind older brother. Chase gets a call, claims it's from the station, and goes away after agreeing to wait. Rick joins Molly for dinner, and his daughter is startled that he is not with Ava. Rick claims he has no idea what Ava has been doing with her time lately. Molly tells her father that she has returned to writing, inspired in part by a recent horseback ride. Molly reveals that her story began as a romance, but she changed her thoughts and now it is about a woman who does not require a guy to be happy. She asks that he keep this between them and not tell Ava. Rick does not think he will confide in Ava anytime soon. Molly doesn't waste any time in reminding her father that he can do better than Ava. Liz appears, stating that she was meant to meet a business friend but backed out. She has a question for Rick, so Molly gives them some space. They sit down, and she praises him for taking on Willow's case. She rejected his advice and went to see Michael. Rick does not believe it would further harm her case, but she must persuade her not to do it again. He then brazenly suggests Willow should learn to be more like Liz, who is gentle, friendly, and caring. Where is Joss supposedly headed? Joss meets her mother at the bar and tells that she is taking a few weeks off to travel to Australia, because Lady Jane's close friend, Mrs. Walker, broke her hip. She has no one to help her around the ranch. Joss reveals that she is leaving tomorrow. Carly thinks this is incredibly sudden and wonders what is actually going on. Joss confesses her mother was correct to be concerned about Vaughn. So this trip is also intended to create space between them, so she can determine whether he is appropriate for her, and what she wants. Carly believes she is making a responsible and mature decision. Brennan comes as Joss announces that she must begin packing, and inquires as to her destination. Joss leaves, and Brennan notes that Carly appears to be fine with her departure. Carly says that Joss is reconsidering her relationship with Vaughn after hearing Anna's reservations about him, and that she wants time to mull things through. That's when Anna contacts Carly and asks to talk about Joss again. Carly assures her she's at work, then informs Brennan that Anna is on her way to tell her something about Joss. Is Gio coming around? Emma refuses to allow Gio to break into Dalton's lab while they are swimming. They argue and Gio points out that if she is caught, Anna will be unhappy because she already has priors and may cut her off or send her back to California. Emma snarks that she is 21, and if her family is unhappy with her activities, she will get a job and pay her own way. Gio advises her not to leave her family. Gio vows her to secrecy and reveals that he misses his family, including Lois and Brooke Lynn. However, he is not yet ready to reach out and is unsure when he will be. His argument is that being separated from your family hurts like hell. Emma hears him and agrees that he should be the one to break into Dalton's lab. When Joss appears to speak to Emma, Gio grants them privacy. Joss explains that something came up and she needs to go to Australia. She's already told Dalton, who is expected to give Emma the assistant post, but she encourages her to decline. Ava and Alexis make a deal in Alexis' office. Ava informs Alexis that their arrangement has become too complicated, and Rick may land them all in jail. Ava asks Alexis for one more payment of $1.5 million to her alone, and the agreement ends. Alexis is skeptical that they can get rid of Rick, and she correctly points out that there is no assurance Ava will not become eager for more money. Ava produces a key to the storage container containing Rick's automobile, preventing any further blackmail by either her or Rick. Molly comes to her father and Liz in the show's final moments at the Metro Court, insisting on the nurse's presence. She agrees and Molly can barely contain her delight as she watches her father and Liz engage. Cody appears in Alexis' office as she and Ava are completing their plans, telling Ava, "Fancy seeing you here." Britt notifies the supervisor at the Five Poppies that she cannot advance without further data, and that she needs her freedom. Her tone changes as she tells him she's all right, and it would be helpful if he called her back more frequently. It appears that the employer cares about Britt. After saying goodnight, Britt takes a syringe and vial from her bedside. Chase speaks with the station, which did not call him, and claims to be coming to work despite the fact that he is not on duty tonight. Chase asks Gio how things are going as he walks past. Gio answers, "Good," and walks away. Joss argues to Emma that she has uncovered no evidence that Dalton is testing on animals, but she has discovered he is a slime and has made advances on her. She knows Emma dislikes her, but she's trying to do her a favor by telling her to stay away from Dalton. Brennan returns to Carly at the restaurant after making a work call. On the pier, someone clothed in black snatches Anna and pulls a black hood over her head. On the next General Hospital, Lucas mocks Carly, saying it's simpler for her to strike out at him than accept she was wrong. Michael explains to Dante that he believes he understands why Daisy was targeted. Willow tells Chase that she needs to figure out how to undo all the damage. Sidwell informs Tracy that she will no longer have a corporation to protect. Turner informs Sunny that she will be prepared for any trick he may pull. According to General Hospital spoilers, a seismic encounter is brewing in Dubrovnik this week as Jocelyn Jack's WSB assignment puts her at the same Croatian hotel where Britt Westbourne is hiding out, still alive. Joss is sent with Agent Vaughn to pretend as newlyweds investigating Professor Henry Hank Dalton's deadly science project, unaware that Britt faked her death to flee Port Charles and everyone she knew there. When they meet, both face exposure, Joss' secret WSB position and Britt's survival. Will Britt give up her secrecy to protect Joss, as she once did against Heather Weber's hook? Joss' mission meets Britt's hidden life. Joss' covert duty as a WSB agent posing as Vaughn's wife will keep her on a tightrope in Dubrovnik. The fans can't stop talking about the upcoming clash with Britt. Given that Britt vanished following her death in 2023, she has escaped everyone, even Jason Morgan, who spotted her at a Paris airport a few weeks ago. Their hotel rendezvous has the potential to unravel both. Joss cannot tell Carly Spencer or anyone else she is a WSB agent, and Britt is afraid of being exposed. So will Joss retain Britt's secret to salvage her goal? Or will their encounter cause chaos? Britt's past heroics haunt her choice. Imagine Joss trapped in Croatia, spotting Britt, her survival evident, while her mind tries to grasp the ghost she's staring at. Britt recognizes Joss and recalls protecting her from Heather's poisoned hook, a noble gesture which killed her. This week, Britt has a moral quandary. Tell Jason about Joss' dangerous WSB mission against Dalton, risking her own cover, or remain silent to preserve her new life on the run. Ultimately, Britt's decision could expose them both, especially since Anna Devane is watching Joss' every move. Will Britt's emotions drive her to save Joss again? Will Britt give up her secret for Joss? Joss and Britt face a common threat. Will Britt shatter her cover to warn someone, Jason, of Joss' WSB threat, matching her previous heroism, or will she remain hidden to preserve her own interests? Personally, I want Britt to protect Joss, but I dread the consequences of that decision, even if it means Jason and Britt can reconnect. Besides, we're all waiting for the heartbreaking moment when Liesl Albrecht sees her very living daughter. Stay in for more GH news and spoilers to find out if Britt sacrifices her anonymity, or if both of their covers are blown. Carly was never one to question her instincts, but that morning at Metro Court seemed different. There was a sense of unease in the air, something out of place that she couldn't put her finger on. She strode purposefully across the lobby, greeting guests and checking in on employees, but a glint of distraction lingered behind her gaze. At the same moment, Britt Westbourne found herself in an unusual state of mind. Gone was the guarded bitterness that used to cling to her like a second skin. It was replaced by something softer, more open, though she would never acknowledge it aloud. When Britt was invited to a secret meeting with the so-called big boss, she half expected a shady black market deal or another deceptive offer wrapped in charm and danger. Instead, she discovered a striking truthfulness. The meeting room was dim, and the air was thick with the aroma of aged bourbon and worn leather. The man sat at the head of the table had the air of someone used to commanding a room, but when he spoke, he emanated agony rather than authority. "I know who you are," he stated clearly, his voice low and thoughtful. "And I know what you've been through." Britt froze. It was not a threat. It was something else. Recognition. Her first reaction was to strike out, to confront perceived vulnerability with sarcasm and biting. For once she didn't. She sat down, cautious but fascinated, and listened. They talked for far longer than she expected, about her background, her regrets, her mother, and the never-ending expectations she had failed to meet. But what struck her most was that he never sought to manipulate her. He made no offers of money or promises. He did not ask her for any favors. He merely listened. When she exited the room, her chest felt cracked open. She despised how it felt, and still it persisted. Meanwhile, Carly was in a different type of emotional disaster. She had gotten herself into a predicament she didn't completely comprehend, one that was likely to escalate into something far more hazardous than she could have imagined. It all started with a seemingly harmless conversation over coffee. She had been conversing with a contact, who was loosely connected to the WSB but nice enough, when she let something go. A name. A detail. She assumed something regarding Anna Devane's whereabouts was already public knowledge. Carly had no idea she was speaking with someone who was not Anna's buddy. They listened with calm attentiveness, never revealing their reaction. They merely nodded, changed the subject, and exited without drawing notice. Carly would not recognize her mistake until days later, when the ramifications began to emerge in Port Charles. Anna had been keeping a low profile for a purpose. Whatever operation she had become engaged in was not only sensitive, but also volatile. A spill might endanger life. And Carly, well-intentioned but ignorant, had just handed someone the exact thread required to pull everything apart. Britt and Carly were in quite different emotional states when they met that evening. Britt, for once, was calm, uneasy about her own reaction to the meeting with the big boss, but serene. Carly, on the other hand, was turbulent below the surface. She could tell something was wrong, but she didn't know what it was yet. She just knew it was about Anna, and by implication herself. Their interaction was brief. A straightforward trade outside of the elevator. Britt recognized Carly's anxious vibe immediately away. "Are you okay?" Britt inquired, catching Carly's gaze. Carly nodded too soon. "Fine. Just a long day," Britt said without pressing. She didn't dig until she had a reason. But when the doors closed, she couldn't resist the feeling that Carly had just stepped into something perilous, something she hadn't expected. Later that night, Anna got a call from a secure line. She was already on edge from having eyes on her all day. The voice on the other end corroborated her concerns. "They know where you are," the voice stated. Get out. Now, Anna said without hesitation. She collected the basics and crept into the shadows, her heart thumping. As she left into the darkness, the betrayal hurt more than she wanted to acknowledge. Someone had given her up. Someone is inside Port Charles. Carly's part in the growing disaster was unclear to her. She was still trying to piece together the tension she felt, unaware that her simple remark had sparked a hazardous pursuit. She did not intend to hurt Anna. However, purpose would be irrelevant. Not to the people closing in. Britt, on the other hand, found herself reflecting in greater depth than normal. The conversation with the big boss left her disturbed, not due to any threats or negotiations, but because it seemed human. She had never heard someone in his position speak with such rawness. He told her stories that no one else knew, and she felt seen in unexpected ways. She didn't trust him totally, but she did not dismiss him either. She started seeing people differently after that, observing how they handled their pain, how they attempted to bury it, how it influenced the decisions they made. Carly's restlessness and the anguish in her grin made more sense now. It wasn't long before word spread. Anna had gone dark. No communication. There's no trace. It sent a wave of uneasiness among people who cared about her. Valentine in particular was outraged. He stormed into the Metro court and demanded answers. Carly, taken aback, attempted to help. I didn't say anything important, she insisted. Just that she'd been seen near the old docks. But I thought everyone knew that. Valentine glanced at her, his expression tightening. Nobody was meant to know. That area was blacklisted for a reason. The knowledge struck Carly like a freight train. Her palm rushed to her mouth and her breath caught. Oh God, what have I done? She did not wait for Valentine's decision. She turned and rushed to the back offices, her heart racing. She realized she'd made a mistake. What she didn't know was how deep it went. Meanwhile, Britt received another enigmatic letter with no name or origin, only a location and time. Her instincts warned her to ignore it, but curiosity had always been her downfall. She went, and what she discovered surprised her. It was the big boss again, but this time he wasn't as calm. He seemed rattled. They're coming for Anna, he stated bluntly. Someone sold her out. Britt's eyes sharpened. Are you telling me this because I believe you care? Or maybe because I hope you do? Britt did not respond. However, her heart twisted unexpectedly. She did not know Anna well, but she respected her. She also despised seeing decent people suffer as a result of someone else's reckless behavior. That night, Carly sat at home staring at her phone. She had sent message after message to Anna and received no response. The silence was awful. She wanted to believe that she could solve it, that she could undo the harm. But deep down, she knew that once destroyed, trust was difficult to regain. Across town, Britt stood alone on the dock, the wind tugging on her coat. She wasn't sure why she was there. Perhaps part of her hoped Anna would appear. Perhaps she simply needed to feel near to something that made sense. When she heard footsteps behind her, she swiftly whirled around. It was not Anna. It was Valentine. You two? He asked quietly. Britt nodded. I thought maybe. They stayed still for a minute, lost in thinking. She's strong, Britt finally stated. Valentine didn't answer straight away. She'll survive. He spoke softly. I understand. But survival alters people. As time passed, the fallout lingered. Carly received chilly glances and murmured accusations. Some were subtler. Others do not. And while no one stated it aloud, the fact was obvious. She had made a critical misstep. A mistake with consequences. Britt too felt the weight. She hadn't deceived Anna, but she was drawn into the vortex nonetheless. She felt herself changing, melting in ways that worried her, caring in ways she thought she had forgotten. The big boss remained in the shadows, watching, waiting, perhaps even hoping that Britt, of all people, will one day comprehend what it is to hold power and pain in equal parts. In the end, Anna reappeared, alive but changed. The betrayal left scars that no amount of reassurance could heal. She returned to Port Charles with a cautious demeanor, her trust broken. And Carly, standing across from her in that first meeting back, could only mumble an apology that may never be sufficient. Anna listened. Then they turned away. And somewhere in the dark, the big boss poured another drink, remembering Britt and their quiet honesty. Nothing about Port Charles would ever be the same.